Hello, hello, hello. It's 7:23 right now. It's good to have you on this Friday. So, as we've been talking about this week, student loan payments are on pause for the rest of the year. But there's a few things borrowers need to keep in mind.
All right, so we need to get some details on exactly what is going on with this student loan forgiveness thing. And joining us now, personal finance expert Dan Roccato is here. Hi there, Dan.
What's up, guys? How you feeling?
We're doing great. So what should we know about this pause in payments? Apparently, the payments will be paused until January 1st, and $10,000 forgiven for borrowers earning less than $125,000 a year.
Yep. So Christmas comes early for 40 million people in this country, I suppose. There's really three parts to the plan. First, payments are paused, as you said, until January the 1st. That's the seventh pause, at least by my count, since this thing started in March of 2020. The second aspect of it is that no payment will now exceed 5% of your monthly income. And finally, the forgiveness part, which is the most controversial part, which is $10,000 in federal student loans can be forgiven. If you have Pell student grants, another 10 grand can be forgiven. So here's, just to put that in context, about 1/3 of all student borrowers owe less than 10 grand. So they will be wiped out completely.
So, Dan, talk a little bit about this, because like you said, this has been controversial, and we're seeing the pushback from people going, how do we pay for this? That's what I want to ask you about. Where's the money coming from to pay for this, to answer those questions?
Great question. Two parts to that, Liz. Listen, you've known me a long time now. You know, I have 4 kids, all of whom went to college. Where's my refund, right? I mean, we figured out a way to do it. And a lot of families this morning are saying the same thing, which is, hey, wait a minute. We paid, someone else doesn't pay. That doesn't seem fair. And then you said, where does the money come from? It's estimated this thing's going to cost somewhere between $300 and $500 billion. I'm old enough that I remember when a billion actually meant something. Well, it's going to come from you and I, right? Someone has to pick up the tab, and that is essentially the American taxpayer. So listen, the system, the college funding system, as we well know, because we've talked about it on the show a lot, is broken. The way we pay for college, the cost of college, it's broken. This may be part of the fix, but I think we missed an opportunity to actually fix the system.
That's actually what I wanted to ask you about, because I do feel like this is a bigger question about whether or not you like the student loan forgiveness. Why aren't we also talking about ways to make college more affordable, period? Because this seems like a vicious cycle in a sense.
You're absolutely right. We need to get away from the vicious cycle and move towards a virtuous circle, right? So what you just said is so dead on. We need to figure out, why is college so expensive, and what's the return on investment? And by the way, should a basket weaving degree cost as much as an engineering degree if the outcomes are very different, right? These are fundamental questions that we might not always like the answers, but you're right. We owe it to ourselves to come together and figure out the solutions.
Okay, and here's my other question on the other side of this, because I know we talked about, people are wondering how we're going to pay for it, and you mentioned there's a lot of people going, where's my refund? But what about the sense of the rising, a rising tide lifts all boats? I mean, is there any bigger implications for this? I mean, we've heard people say, I can afford a house, I'll be debt free. I mean, there are positives to this as well?
No doubt about it. Listen, as you know, I teach at the University of San Diego, great school where we go out of our way to try to help students afford to go to college. College is good, right? It's good for society. Education is good for society. It lifts all boats, as you said, Liz. So this is a value that as a society, we put a very high mark on, and we should. The way we figure out to pay for it, though, or how we pay for it currently, is not really the most ideal situation. Listen, at the end of the day, we have to focus on what we can control, right? So beyond this, if you can continue to make your payments, make those payments, get rid of it if you can. As you said, buy houses, buy cars, go get married, do the things that young people should be doing, get rid of this debt. If you're really in trouble, and people are, look into these income-based repayment programs through studentaid.gov. There's help out there for individuals if you need it. We need to fix the bigger problem, but you and I as individuals need to focus on our own personal balance sheets as well.
Dan, as you mentioned, you put some kids through school, or helped get some kids through school. I just, got my first student through college, which I'm really excited about, and it looks like he is going to be debt-free. But he needs to get some answers about what all of this means. So for folks in that boat, what would you recommend to them?
Great question. And there's a lot of people this morning scratching their head thinking, where do I find out more? The best resource is studentaid.gov. It's the website that the government has set up for college students. There's more on there than just about loans. It truly is a terrific resource of information. So studentaid.gov is everyone's first click if they're interested in more information.
Fantastic. Dan Roccato, as always, a pleasure to chat with you, sir. Happy Friday.
Well, we solved that problem. See you next week, guys.
That's what we do.
Thank goodness. All right, Dan, thanks.